Hi there. Are you an energy worker, spiritual healer, looking to learn more so you can broaden your practice? Or perhaps you're an energy seeker, just trying to learn everything you can about the world of energy and how it works. Or maybe you're new to this whole thing and possibly you've even encountered some energy workers who are a little bit too woo-woo for you to take seriously. And what you're looking for is the straight goods on how it's all done without all that touchy-feely, mystical language that really gives us all a bad rap. If any of those, then you've come to the right place. My name is Renu Arora, and I'm an energy healer who uses a modality called the accelerated release technique. I work with my clients by getting to resolving their emotional, spiritual, mental, and even physical issues by understanding or getting into the subconscious and releasing the emotional triggers that are trapped within. And to my clients, it looks and feels like magic. But like any good magic trick, once you understand exactly how it's done, and you realize that how you do it, there's no actual magic involved at all, and anybody can actually do that or recreate that same magic for themselves, well, that's what I'm looking for everybody. If there's nothing magical and mysterious about it all, it means anybody can do it, and that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to show you that energy work is not for just those rare few born with that, natural intuitive gift into how it's done, and that we can all recreate this for ourselves. So if you're ready to be empowered with new knowledge and understanding into how the world of energy really works, then I am thrilled to introduce you to today's topic. Today's topic is scientific hand analysis. Now, I'm really sad to say that I've been using Google Hangouts, and all of a sudden they decided to pull the one of my apps off my computer. so my logo, the title of the show, it's all not here. So I realized I forgot to say, welcome to Spirituality Meets Science. That's what we call the show, and that's what we're all about. And like I said, today's topic is scientific hand analysis. So the first thing I want to say is, with respect to scientific hand analysis, we're going to be covering what it is, how it's done, the kind of training you need for it, what it means, and how it can be used to really understand more about yourself and your purpose. So I think that's actually really very, very cool. And the idea that there is actually some scientific basis behind it. And we understand that science is, what it means is something that you can study it, and there's reproducible results that you can experience and see from your study. So it's trial and error, and you can see consistent results. That's science. So just because the guys in the lab coats aren't necessarily talking about this one doesn't mean that it's not science. It's not scientific. So our guest today is going to talk to us about the study of hands. So I'm really, really looking forward to us moving on to that discussion. Welcome to today's viewers, both my live viewers and my my replay viewers. I really appreciate you taking the time out to come and spend that time with me and with my guests and broadening your horizons. So I think that's wonderful, and thank you so much again for being here. Now, I just wanted to remind you, before I introduce my guest, we have a chat box. So if you have any messages you want to say, any questions that you have for myself or my guest during the show, then throw them in the chat box, and we'll do our best to get to them. And the other thing I want to say is, don't forget, at the end of the show, I will be doing a live demonstration of the accelerated release technique, and it's going to be on Facebook Live now. So if you haven't done so already, follow me, Renu Arora, ART practitioner, on Facebook Live, so that when the show does go live, then you'll get the notification and you'll be able to join along. Without further ado, I am thrilled to introduce you to my guest. Sorry, my papers are a little out of order today. Today we're talking with certified hand analyst. Sorry, let's try that again. Certified hand analyst and lifestyle strategist, Marcella Theeman. She's going to be giving us an overview of what we can learn about ourselves and the greater possibilities for our life through the art and science of fingerprint and hand analysis. So, Marcella, thank you so much for joining us on the show, and I'm looking forward to you enlightening us with this topic. Please tell us a little bit more about yourself, where you are, and maybe how you got into this.
Okay, well, thank you, Renu, for having me on your show. It's a pleasure to be here, and I can't wait to talk to your listeners about fingerprint and hand analysis and how it can benefit their lives. So, like you said, my name is Marcella Theeman, and I live in Ashland, Oregon. And basically, I have been interested in, you know, what my husband calls my hippy-dippy topics, like astrology and hand reading and numerology, but, you know, since back when I was in high school. And we don't need to talk about how many years ago that was. Anyway, it's been kind of a lifelong interest to explore some of these, I guess, more esoteric realms. And, you know, in spite of that, I, you know, went to college and got a science degree in nutrition and actually worked as a registered dietitian, nutrition educator for many years. And then after that, I became an organic gardener I was that for 10 years. And I was reaching a point in my life where I wanted to be doing something different. And one day this email showed up in my inbox talking about learn how to do fingerprint and hand analysis, and here's how it benefits people. And I'm like, wow, that sounds so cool. So I, you know, set about finding a training program, and that's how I ended up where I am today. So yeah, it's taken me, I've taken probably close to 2 years of training to do this. So it's not just the sort of thing where you can go out and read a book or two and be really effective doing it, I don't think. There is, you know, real serious training that goes into learning how to do it.
That is so cool. And you've already won me over because I was a dietitian for 13 years as well. And that's the thing, that's one of the things I really want all our viewers to know is we are serious. When we talk about the science of energy work, many of my guests come from that science background, that science perspective. And yet, as much as we may appreciate the woo-woo and have that little pull towards all things that seem a little weird, we approach it with that analytical mind, and so you just fit the exact description of the kind of person that I'm, the kind of practitioner that I'm trying to promote and allow you to really get this platform to speak out on the show. So that is fantastic. Now, briefly, before we get into the full discussion of scientific hand analysis, I like to take just a quick moment to talk about practitioner news. So, as everybody knows, I'm an ART practitioner. It's a modality which I created myself. Well, there's a little bit of a story there, not entirely myself, but this part is mine. And I do have a number of practitioners who've been learning along with me. Like I said, it's a work in progress. We're always learning more. And I'm really, really super excited to say that in that process of learning more, and I'll be very honest with you, I learn from my practitioners. I do from them too, but I learn from my guests. I am a big believer that all of these modalities, they all have merit. They all have something which is unique to them, and that's why they're so effective. there's certain areas which are really remarkably good at. And what I'm trying to do as an ART practitioner is sort of the best of. Like I pick I learn something from here. It's like, yeah, you know what? I can see there's a little bit of Reiki that I can pull into my work, or a little bit of chakra work, or a little bit of something else, because it's there's scope for those concepts within ART. And I just realized we had someone called, we had an access bars practitioner on a few weeks ago. It was a couple of them. I got to meet with one and I had an amazing session. So if anybody, I'm going to tell you, it's actually pretty cool. You go back to the old show and find an access bars practitioner, because you can have a pretty extraordinary session out of that. But I realized that there is place for clearing the bars in the work that I do as well. So there's a little piece of that. So I need to train my new practitioners on how that new piece is being done. So just wait. I'll be sending you guys an email, and we're going to talk a little bit more on how to incorporate this new modality that I hadn't tapped into previously. So that's one thing. The other quick bit of practitioner's news is just a little reminder that I do have another training session coming up March 17th through 19th. So if anybody wants to learn from me and with me, then please go to my website, healfromyourpast.com, and we can connect and take it from there. So that done, just a reminder to anybody who's just come in, that our topic is scientific hand analysis, and this is really cool. My own old experience with hand analysis was palmistry, and that was my big sister reading my hand. So so I'm excited to talk to Marcella today about how, yeah, maybe what she did isn't really the most scientific and maybe there was a grain of truth in what she did or didn't do, but I want to know a little bit more about the people who've done the research into hands and what they mean. So that's what we're about to do now. So Marcella, let's get started. So what is scientific hand analysis? Like what's involved, and how is it different from that the gypsy fortune teller?
The fortune teller thing? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's a question a lot. It's like people kind of pull back, like, really? You know, you have a college degree, and you're so anyway, the work I do, I say how the two main ways it's different from what you might think of as traditional gypsy fortune telling palmistry is I spend a lot of time looking at fingerprints, and our fingerprints are important because they're formed 5 months before we're ever even born. No two people have the same fingerprint patterns, not even identical twins, and they never change throughout your life. So, you know, law enforcement has been using fingerprints as part of their work for, you know, well over 100 years now, I think. So, you know, I don't think there's any question in anybody's mind that there's enough science behind the fingerprint part to, you know, to justify using them. And the system I was trained in, a lot of it was developed by a gentleman named Richard Unger, and he just did a ton of research. And was able to, you know, by looking at the fingerprint patterns and researching and talking to a lot of people, you can actually determine a lot about how a person is likely to show up in life by looking at their fingerprints. You can determine a person's life purpose, you know, what is the best use of their time, what is the best, you know, application of their energy and talents while they're here on planet Earth. So that's the life purpose part. We can determine your life path, which is slightly different than your life purpose, by looking at fingerprint patterns. And also, you know, when I talk to people about their life purpose, so like, okay, well, my life doesn't exactly look like this. I can also determine your life challenge, or what might be standing in the way of you, you know, fulfilling your life purpose. So, those three things I can quickly determine from the fingerprints, and then I look at, the rest of the hand and just put all the information together. So the fingerprints are one way. This differs a lot from the fortune telling aspect. And the other is, when I talk to a person, I'm talking about, here are your strengths, here are your talents, here's how you can make good use of your life. Here's, your needs in relationship. So when you're out looking for people to be in relationship with, you can be clear on your expectations and also learn about them and not expect them to behave in ways that they're not likely to ever behave. So it can really make relationships a lot simpler. So it's more like a personality profile. I don't predict the future. If you come to me, I'm not going to tell you how long you're going to live or how many kids you're going to have, or when you're going to meet, Mr. Right. So
that's the only reason I ever went.
Okay.
Well,
does that make sense as far as how this is like different from what you might get?
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. I'm glad that that's not part of what you do.
Okay.
So, okay. Well, I'm curious to know a little bit more. Yeah, I really kind of want to go into what do you see? What parts of the hand? What do you look at? Well, you said fingerprints, but what else do you?
Well, I just happen to have some handprints right here.
Okay.
So, I don't know how well your viewers can see this. So it's an inked print of a hand, and when people come to me for a reading, or I also do readings at a distance, you don't have to meet with me in person. I send out a kit, and they make a inked print which looks like this.
Oh, okay.
By looking at the inked print, and I also use digital photos, say, for instance, I look at the elemental hand shape, and I don't know if your listeners are familiar with.
What does that mean?
Oh, like air, earth, fire, water. Like when Chinese medicine, they talk a lot about air element or earth element, that sort of thing. Because each element has certain characteristics that really help identify a person and, what their needs in life and how they're likely to respond to life and what kind of career path would be satisfying to them. That's
okay, so elemental hand shape. So what exactly, give me the for dummies version.
Okay, so like looking at this hand, what you can see of it, it has a very rectangular palm shape.
Okay.
And that is, when I see that, that tells me that the person has a fair amount of air element in them.
Ah,
So
okay.
air element, they are about acquiring and sharing information. They usually have very bright minds, like to learn and like to share what they've learned. They're information hounds. So, if you have a question or need a problem solved, they're probably a good person to go see. Now, their challenge can be being a little too much in their heads and not always being as in touch with their feelings as it might be beneficial. So,
Okay.
and then I also look at things. Does that answer your question about the elements?
Yeah. So I guess each of the elements has a somewhat different shape. Cool. That's
a different shape and different characteristics associated with it. Yeah, and in this day and age, most of us are going to be a combination of elements. It's not like in days of old where you grew up and married somebody right down the street, so the gene pool stayed pretty consistent. Nowadays, you could just as easily marry someone halfway around the globe, so that these traits have become more intermingled and there's more diversity in what we see in a hand. Okay. So I look at the elemental hand shape. Then I would also look at the fingers. Are they standing up straight? So like in this hand, which by the way, it happens to be mine, so I'll talk about it. You'll see the knuckles look a little knotty. And when I see knotty knuckles, that's somebody who likes to be a little analytical. So you know, if the knuckles.
Double dose of that.
What was that?
You got the double dose. You've got the square.
Double dose. I've got the air hand and I've got the naughty knuckles. So yeah, and I do have a tendency to overthink things sometimes. So anyway, guilty. Then I would look at things like, you see this, it's like a red star I have drawn in there. And that's, I look to see if the person has what we call gift markings. And a gift marking indicates a certain talent or ability. And if you have a gift marking, it's very important for the feeling of flow in your life, that you're really using that gift marking. What I see a lot is if people have gift markings and they're not using them or putting them to good practice, that's when they tend to feel stuck in life. Things aren't flowing the way they'd like.
So are those markings always in that spot and they look different? Or?
Oh no, there's like about 17 different types of gift markings that can show up.
Okay.
Many of them, like this one's a star shape.
Okay.
So many of them are star shaped. Sometimes they're not. Like if you look over here under the pointer finger, where I've indicated those two lines in red.
Yeah.
That's actually, it's a wisdom marker. It's called Rings of Solomon. That indicates a really good ability to understand human behavior.
Okay.
So, you know, somebody might be trying to present themselves as being one way in the world, but usually people with that kind of a marking can quickly see what the real situation is.
Okay.
It's kind of like they call it the bullshit detector. Okay, and so then that star one there, that's called the Star of Apollo, and that's about creativity.
Okay, all right.
So yeah, those are gift markings. And then we have major lines in our hands. Like this is the headline that starts here and goes all the way over, and you see it.
I think you're gonna have to lift it a little. I can't see that one.
Okay. Okay, can you see it now?
Yep.
The headline, it goes all the way over, like, where's my pointer? Right there, across, and then it kind of flips up at the end. But before it even does that, it splits down. So that won't flip up at the end is what we call the bottom line mind, and that's somebody who likes to get to the point quickly. You know, these page after page email ads trying to get you to buy something would drive a person like this crazy. So, I mean, when you know, that's like what the delete key is for. But anyway, and also so the longer a person's headline is, usually the more time they are likely to spend contemplating things instead of just, you know. So you can see repeatedly here, I probably spend too much time in my head.
Right. Yeah.
And then I'll look at the other hand. I didn't want to put too many lines on one hand. And this is up here. That line going across there is the heart line, and that's the emotional system. And when I look at a heart line, say if it tends to be flat versus curved, that's someone who's more likely to, the more British type of approach, kind of, you know, reserved and quiet. They're not going to be, they're probably not going to be the life of the party. Whereas if I see one that's very curved and very long, that's someone who tends to be very emotionally expressive.
Okay.
And the important thing to remember with hand reading is each thing that I look at carries information, but it's like reading a sentence. You can't just look at one word in a sentence and get the meaning of the whole thing. You have to put everything together and kind of integrate the information to see, you know, really what the hand is trying to tell me. So is that okay? And then just one point I want to make too before I quit talking about this. This line coming down right here. Oops.
Yep, we can see it.
Yeah, that's the lifeline. And if people don't learn anything else about hand reading, the lifeline has nothing to do with how long you'll live. It's about your anchoring system to your family, tribe, and community. It's your vitality system. So if I see a good, strong lifeline, one that goes down and wraps all the way around, that's usually someone who is feels grounded in their life. They found their tribe and community. They have good physical vitality to see them through, periods of stress or change. If I see a lifeline that's kind of like hanging, it doesn't go all the way down, or it looks fractured or frayed.
Yeah.
That tells me that maybe there's some stress in the person's sense of where do they belong in the world, or they're still seeking that group of people that really make them feel connected.
Right. Interesting.
So
that's very cool.
All
right.
But I'm biased, so
yeah, I can understand that. Okay. Okay. One last question, and then we're gonna wrap things up. So, who would benefit from this?
Oh gosh.
Why would somebody want to have their hand read?
Oh wow. I can think of a lot of reasons. That's why I do this work. It's a lot of times when people come to me, they're in transition in their life. Something isn't feeling right, or they feel like the life could be better, or they could be getting more out of it, but they're not sure exactly what's next or what direction to go. So they come to me for insight.
Okay.
If you're looking for self-awareness, it's a great tool for self-awareness.
Yeah, I was thinking beyond just the, hey, that's a fun thing to do.
Yeah. It's like, okay, because, as much as a lot of people might not want to talk about them, it can also tell you, okay, here's some things that might be, your life maybe isn't feeling the way you want it to. So here's some things I'm seeing in your hand that might be interfering with you living the way you tell me you really want to be living. So let's talk about it. And people, if you're raising a child or a teenager, I mean, wouldn't you want to know what kind of what their tendencies are? It's like kind of like an owner's manual right there for you. It's good for jobs.
It's actually pretty cute. It's not a bad use for it.
Yeah. If you're looking for a career that's like feeds your soul as well as your bank account. Oftentimes people pick career paths based on, everybody in my family's always been a doctor, or there's a good job market for computer programmers, and the computer programmer might be better served being a poet, or an artist or something, because, that technology stuff just isn't their thing.
Right.
So, and I would think, any parent getting ready to spend big bucks on a college education would want to be spending the money, with a positive outcome.
That their kid will have meaning. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, well, that's all the time we have. So thank you so much for being here. That was
thank you for inviting me. I always love talking about this.
Yeah, it's very educational and enlightening. And now would be the time if you got any last words, any last pieces of wisdom to share, and as well, please let our audience know how they can reach you.
Yeah, again,
anybody, like you don't have to be in your city in order to have this done. So that's
right. That's exactly. I can absolutely do this at a distance. I mail out information, and then you can take prints of your hands and send them back, and then we talk over the phone. And I find some people don't like the idea of the ink. Digital photographs work fine too. So, it's totally doable to have sessions at a distance. And if you want to get in touch with me or have any further questions, probably the best way is through my website, yourhandscape.com. And I also have a Facebook page for my business, just called Handscapes.
Okay. All right. And for anybody who didn't catch that, I'm going to update that on the YouTube description. Once this is saved and YouTube does its thing. And then also after that, I'll be posting it on my blog, on my website, and that information will be there for you as well. So I guess that's pretty much it for today's show. Quickly, I'll tell you next week's topic is Bowen therapy. So I'm looking forward to talking with that. I've got a local Bowen therapist who's going to be available to chat, so that's pretty neat. if you're interested in getting notifications for when the show's coming up, or if you just like the show, like me, want to follow what I'm doing, please go to my website, sign up for my newsletter, and you'll get to find out all about what I'm doing and notifications for the show. Again, my website is healfromyourpast.com. You can also follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/healfromyourpast. Oh, and one last thing. If you like it, please share. Let everybody know. Don't keep this all to yourself. So that would mean the world to me and all the energy workers who've been on our show and who are yet to show up. We're trying to make a big difference in the world, and your help, your sharing what we're doing really means a lot. So that's all for this part of the show. Now everybody knows I'm going to do a demonstration of ART. Marcella and I were talking earlier. She said she's willing to receive the demo if none of our viewers decide that they want to do it. But we are doing it on Facebook Live now. So I'm going to sign off of here, and I'm going to go and grab my phone because I can't do it on my laptop. So I got to go grab that and sign up. So I will be on within the next 3 to 5 minutes, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there. So once again, thanks a lot, Marcella, and we'll see you on Facebook.
Thank you.
Okay.